salary, and job opportunities. Time to break the glass ceiling. International politics. Still for a few women. Conflict resolution. More room for women.
Widad Bouchamawi, welcome again, and thanks for joining us here at Next. As you saw, co-founder of the Quartet for Dialogue in Tunisia and the process. But let's start with the latest on women condition and the empowerment of women in the work situation and their rights in Tunisia today. What can you tell us on that?
Thank you so much. I'm so proud and so honored to be here and share my experience with the future leaders. I was fortunate to belong to a very clear and minded family, and my father was my mentor. He pushed me to finish my studies and to say always, yes, you are able to do this. And also, I'm very proud to belong to this young country, Tunisia, which established, a very specialist, let's say, revolutionary code, status code for women, for the equality between men and women. And thanks to these civil rights, I was able to be elected in 2011 as the first woman president of the Tunisian Confederation. It was for me a challenge because it was the first time in Tunisia and the Arab world. And also it was a way to show to everyone that yes, we as women, we are able to lead this confederation. We are able to be leaders, and also we don't have there is no difference between us and between men. But unfortunately, let's say it, maybe I'm a little bit, I had more chances maybe than other women, but still there is a big lack of women entrepreneurs. For example, in Tunisia, in this Tunisian Confederation, we have 50,000 members and just 18,000 women entrepreneurs. The majority of them, they have small companies, and particularly in the handicraft. So there are so many barriers why women, they are not in the front, why women they are not in the CEOs. And if we have a look at some studies, women worldwide, they don't represent more than 20% in the CEOs. So there are some, why? First, I think it depends on our mentality. Still, in the West or the East or in any place, still we have this mentality that men, they are the responsible for the family. They have to be the leaders. They have to take care about their families. Secondly, the education is not affordable for each of us, for all women. Maybe in such countries the education is compulsory, like in our country, but in different countries still, women, they are not allowed to go to schools or to finish their studies. And for me, education is essential, it's a pillar. If we'd like to ask for our rights, we need to first to know our rights, so we can ask for them. And the third thing that maybe we don't have so many women as entrepreneurs is the financial things, because till now, banks sometimes they refuse to give loans to women because they don't have land, they don't have guarantees. So still, this is a big handicap. And the fourth, I think, let's say, handicap for that is. Maybe not handicap, but it depends on us as women. Sometimes we don't like to fight to look for a better position, because sometimes we are like we'd like to, okay, I'm here, I'm okay, I don't need, because maybe I have my family, I have my children, I have to take care of this and that. I don't. So there are so many things that I can say today. We have to change everything. We have to change our mentality, and we have to trust in ourselves as women.
Absolutely. Question from future leader, Macarena Cuipil.
Thank you so much for your talk. I really admire your job. I would like to ask you, conflicts are increasing everywhere, even in MENA region, and most of the times women and children pay the highest price in these conflicts. So I would like to ask you, what do you think is the value added in terms of engaging women in terms of solving conflicts or in resolutions?
Yes, a good question. I mean, unfortunately today we are, very affected by all these conflicts. What was happening in Gaza, and what is happening in Gaza, what was happened in Ukraine, and the genocide now in Gaza. I think we do need more wisdom people, and we need women to be involved in these conflicts resolution, and we need women for all the process, because women and the children, they are more impacted by conflicts. But when it's becoming to the solution, we don't take care about their, their points of view. So it's time, I think, now to have women around the table. And for me, I started this year a class about this women's leadership in conflict resolution, because my aim, and I'd like to have more women mediators, we have to have more women involved in political side, in economic side, We represent the half of the humanity, and we need to play a role. We have to play this role, and we have also to be there to ask that we have all the capacities. And I think now women can provide many things. First, we are too close to the communities. We are so patient. I don't say that you are not patient or not know, but maybe sometimes, maybe it's biological things for us, but also we can listen, because the best thing to be, the best tool to be a mediator is to know how to listen to others, how to accept differences, how to accept other points of view, and also how to look for a consensus, because in mediation or in conflict resolution, we are not looking for a loser or a winner. Just we are looking to find solution. So each one of us have to make some concession, and to try to have different, to have some ideas. We can build together some ideas, kind of roadmap, and we can work on this roadmap. And finally, the result will be beneficial for all of us. It's not a matter of men or women. We have to accept that we need to live together, men and women.
That's a great lesson for everyone. Thanks. Question from the room, just one, for time constraint. Please, here, from the first row. Here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So my name is Elsie Milan. I'm a PhD student in environmental policy at Imperial College London. And I wanted to ask you one question because, like you, I'm an Arab woman. I'm from Lebanon. And I think you understand how hard it is for us as women to kind of break the ceiling and try to enter a sphere that's very male-dominated. So just one quick question. What would be your ultimate advice for your younger self? What would you tell her as a model for all Arab women? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a granddaughter. She has 4 months. And I'm always looking for her. And I'm really, sometimes I'm skeptic. Sometimes I'm optimistic, sometimes no. I'm optimistic because I see that you, as the young generation, you have all the tools. You can change the world. You have very open mind, and you are able to change it. And I'm pessimistic because sometimes I don't know how the world is moving with all these conflicts. So for you, as young women, it doesn't matter from where you are. It's very important to trust your instinct and don't overthink it. Secondly, I think it's you need to have the courage to say no. I don't understand. I don't know. And if you fail, you have to say, okay, I'm going to stand up, because we can learn so much from our failure. And believe in your capacities. Believe in yourself. you can change the world. You are able to do it because no one can help you if you don't have this ability and the will to change the world. And the last thing is say, don't be afraid to fail and don't be afraid to say, yes, I'm here because I have what I have here, not because I'm a woman. Because I studied, I have this experience, so I can do this. That's it. I mean, just be confident and think and trust on yourself.
Widad Bouchamawi, thank you so much. It was great having you here.
Thank you
I
so
know
much.
you traveled the world.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bringing your lessons on mediation.
Thanks
Thanks again. It was a real pleasure. And now we have to turn the page with another completely different session, because in terms of format, it will be the Idea Slam.
Diversity is the foundation of the BMW Group's success. Employees from more than 110 countries worldwide work together successfully at BMW Group. People from different cultures, with different worldviews and religious beliefs. They work for BMW Group in teams around the globe, developing creative ideas and innovative solutions for sustainable future mobility. A working environment free of prejudice, combined with respectful coexistence, are important requirements for this. The BMW Group is also committed to tolerance, openness, and diversity outside its own ranks. In 2011, the company launched a unique partnership with the United Nations Alliance of Civilization to promote international dialogue and intercultural understanding. And recently, also BMW Italy launched a campaign, Plus Diversity is More, with the AC Milan to promote these values going beyond football.
All right. Now, we just heard from Ms. Bouchamawi about, women empowerment, but let's go beyond that with some ideas that comes from future leaders on how to improve the women's role in international relations. Some of these ideas will be included into the G7 ideas that ISPI will bring to the table of the G7 that Italy, as you know, chair in this year. But you're gonna have to vote the ideas that you prefer. It's really simple, and Antonio Villafranca introduced the fact that on your page there's a QR code. You can use it. You can access the Wi-Fi here at Bocconi. This is connect to Bocconi guest Wi-Fi, and you'll be ready to vote your favorite idea. Let me start with Bayan Al-Reaili. She's associate engineer at Saudi Aramco. You can join me at the center of the stage. This is, if you need any slide, please keep it in 2 minutes. Thanks.
Esteemed leaders, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bayan Al-Rehaili, and I'm honored to be here today to share with you the W Connect Foundation. It is a transformative step into empowering women and entering them into international relations. The foundation, in its essence and its heart, proposes a collaborative platform that transcends borders and essentially empowering women with the tools and networks needed to lead and innovate in diplomacy and also in global policy. And this initiative and foundation is built on these key strategic policy recommendations, starting with creating a global digital collaboration and mentorship platform. In this way, women worldwide can connect, share, and learn from each other, creating a global sisterhood. We also advocate for creating a virtual leadership lab and policy incubators. And in this way, women can be equipped with the skills necessary to address global challenges with a fresh perspective. As well as that, we want to create global policy hackathons and introduce them to women worldwide by inviting women to solve international issues through innovation. And lastly, we want to introduce a cross-cultural leadership exchange program for women worldwide, enriching women's effectiveness in international relations and introducing them to different governance systems worldwide. We directly appeal to the G7 leaders to fully support and endorse the W Connect Foundation. And in this way, by committing to this initiative, women can be represented in international relations, and their leadership, their representation can be increased by 25% within the first 5 years, according to these studies. And in that way, we can ensure that women's voices are heard worldwide, and also they're valued in international relations. And as Michelle Obama said, empowering women is key to building a future of peace and equality. Let's join hands and join forces into this transformative journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was great, Bayan Al-Raili. This was the first idea, the first proposal. Let me move to Rian Cayenne, Research Coordinator at the Center for International Governance Innovation. Rian, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rian Cayenne. I'm Research Coordinator and Program Manager at CG, the Center for International Governance Innovation. We are a think tank based in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, and I'm very honored to be here. So, there are many ways to address this global challenge, and in acknowledging the fact that women leaders come from various backgrounds and career paths, I recommend a multifaceted policy approach. My idea builds upon the notion that G7 leaders should facilitate the access and inclusion of women from the start of their careers and education journeys to equip them with the tools necessary to instill meaningful and impactful change at the international level. So let's get started. I first recommend that nations launch a comprehensive program targeted at funding or boosting existing funds for post-secondary education for women within their country. This will encourage women, no matter their socioeconomic background, to one, enter the fields of political science, public policy, economics, and the like, and two, empower them to be informed, communicative leaders once they launch their careers. Next, I recommend that these nations hold an annual forum funded in part by these comprehensive programs, bringing together women from around the world. These should be fully funded opportunities to promote inclusivity of women across a wide range of fields, sectors, and different stages of their careers. This will provide invaluable mentorship and networking opportunities. Perhaps most importantly, it will bring women together to discuss best practices in leadership, namely how to engage various actors both domestically and abroad. Third, and finally, I believe an annual report should be published reflecting the lessons learned, skills shared at these forums. It can serve as a benchmark to show the success of these programs year upon year, and it will serve as an avenue for us to distribute findings from these forums to the wider global community. It will also be fully accessible in perpetuity for future generations of women in leadership. In sum, very much to what we are accomplishing here with the next forum, these ideas that I'm proposing here will empower women to go into the wider global community as leaders with lessons learned from their peers. And in sum, I believe the ideas presented here are rational and feasible despite its multi-pronged approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Rian Cayenne, thank you so much. Our final idea and proposal comes from Michela Fumagalli, Corporate Project Manager at Sol Group. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. So how can we improve women leadership in international relations? I think this can be done in 3 steps. The first one is competence. So we need to make the young girls curious, to make them confident in their knowledge. Let's start with high school. We can create some graduate curricular studies, visits to international institutional government bodies. We can create some work studies with public or private entities. And all of this is done so that they can really understand what studying science, politics, and international relations means, and which are the job opportunities that they can get after later graduation. Second step is support. We need to make the path to a leadership position possible. To do this, To do this, we can, for example, create some economic incentives, like we did for STEM subjects. We can increase the scholarship for female students in universities. We can help women with the time management, because I think women sometimes, more than men, face a lack of time due to the family management. And how can we do it? We can increase, for example, the paternal leave of the partner. We can increase the availabilities and the contribution to kindergarten. Thinking about politics, we can create somehow some guidelines for smart working also for women to face some family emergencies. Or to equalize the opportunities between men and women, we can introduce the gender quotas or the voting with a double gender preference. The third and last step is recognition. I think there is a lack of knowledge of women role models that can inspire young girls. So let's promote women leadership example, positive women leadership example among the young generations. Because I think recognition of a woman's success, exactly equally as a man, it's very important because it can encourage the curiosity, the commitment, and determination of a lot of young girls that will be, in the future, great leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bayan, Rian, and Michela. Now it's your turn. Now use the Interact QR code, which is on the back of your badge, and get off your smartphone, please. And you've got 60 seconds to use it as fast as you can and vote, which is the policy idea that you prefer. And I remind you that Bayan proposed this W Connect, a platform to enhance mentorship and exchange and also policy on women leadership. And Rian proposed an international program and a forum and the report on these issues. And lastly, Michela, competence, support, and recognition were her 3 keywords of the presentation of the idea. Thank you so much, really, for that. Now, we've got a dynamic results here. And I'd say that another 10 seconds, and then we can call the close of the vote. Let's take another 10 seconds to allow everyone. And quite fortunately, also the Wi-Fi apparently is working fine, so we're happy with that. All right. Here we go, and I can say that the vote is closed, and the policy idea that has 48% is from Michela Fumagalli Romario. Thanks again, Michela. Congrats. Great job. Everyone did a great job and a great presentation. And there will be space in the discussion also with ISPI on pushing these ideas and proposal ahead. Now, again, another session which is strictly correlated with the main force that is changing business, society, our life, which is artificial intelligence.
Will machines steal our jobs? Digitalization, a luxury for the few. Humans versus AI, sci-fi or tomorrow's reality?
And so we're glad to talk humanizing AI from ethics to business with Professor Mario Rasetti. Welcome, Professor Rasetti. A large round of applause to Mario Rasetti, which, as you might know, he was a pioneer in data science, not just in Italy, but at the international level. He's a bright mind and one of the main experts on the development on AI. So welcome again, it's a pleasure, and we're happy as Classe Editori we've got chances to discuss with Mario Rasetti on this topic. Let me start with this, Professor Rasetti, because the title of the session is Humanizing AI. And there are many risks connected with, the human rights and the protection of humans in front of AI. But one thing that is a real concern, if you look at the global risk monitor that was presented at the World Economic Forum, I was struck because the first risk was the fact that AI used at scale could represent the main risk for the potential misinformation, disinformation, fake news, impacting the election globally. And so, you know, managers, entrepreneurs at Davos, they said, this is what concerned us the most. At our level, in our life, we know that human relations were impacted by digital, for example, and now AI comes again with the strongest full power and changing also the idea of truth. What do you make of this, and how do you feel about these changes, Professor Rossetti?
This is a very, very interesting and intriguing question, of course. Look, if you want me to define AI in 3 words, I would say this is the most important cultural and possibly anthropological revolution that the human race ever had to meet. And as all the revolutions, it is changing our way of being. I think it can be compared to the invention of writing. You may remember Plato. Plato makes Socrates say in the Phaedron, he says, maledictions against the new invention of writing. Greek was the first modern languages. And it is funny because Plato makes Socrates say this, but he writes it. So he curses the invention of writing, but he's using it right away. We are in a similar position, or in the position of almost 200 centuries later, the invention of movable type printing, Gutenberg. Think of what happened ever since we can write. Now we have a tool which has the same sort of power. And we must just learn to live with it. There will be people who make bad use of it, but hopefully the majority will make a good use. It's like the automobile. You can do wonderful things with an automobile, but you can also do very bad things. But the automobile in itself is a wonderful object, and it's a fantastic invention. So it is true that from now on, our life will be a life in which we walk hand in hand with this new partner, which is artificial intelligence. And we must strive to make it better, to make artificial intelligence better, in order to make ourselves better. Because it will change our way of being. You mentioned 2 issues which are tangible, very, very present. One is, of course, the notion of friendship. It's just an example. There are hundreds of them. If you ask someone of my generation, how many friends do you have? I think for a second that I say 15. If you ask my grandnephew, he tells you 5,000. I'm well aware that it is a different model, a different notion of friendship, but that's what is coming in. This is what will be in the future. And you would mention the most delicate of all points, truth. Well, truth is a very delicate concept. I've been working, and I work on it a lot. And if you go to, I don't know, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy and look under truth, you find 300 pages text, 100 of which are references to papers and books and documents written by human beings. we don't know what truth is. We know truth in a relative sense. Nevertheless, truth has become an important tool also to win wars. In the Ukraine-Russia war, 1/3 of the resources spent in the war are connected with misinformation. So it's complicated. One thing that struck me a lot is that recently, very recently, a couple of weeks ago, probably a little more, but a young girl, 16, was raped in the metaverse by a pack of bad guys in the metaverse. Now think about this simple, horrible fact. The girl was not touched. Her body was not involved in the operation. The avatar of the girl was raped by the avatars of a bunch of bad young boys. Yet, the psychological effects on this young lady are terrible, are exactly identical to those as if she had been raped in reality. So we must learn to live with artificial intelligence and to make it better. Because one thing that artificial intelligence can do well is to learn. You may know that whenever we speak about artificial intelligence, we think of machine learning or deep learning, which are the two main techniques. Well, this is a limit also, because a human mind is able to do much more than learning. It's a predictive mind, is a mind capable of evolving sentiments, emotions.
Right. I know that you consider our brain the most powerful machine, also more than any artificial intelligence. But having said that, Professor, we are here in a room which is filled with students and young leaders, and they're living in an age where AI is part of their life. And my question is, how about their training, their preparation? Is it adequate to master also and to manage this new technology? What do you make about this?
That's again a difficult question. I like you because you ask difficult questions. Well, let me start with something. I know I like to digress. Let me explain to you in 30 seconds. ChatGPT. What ChatGPT is doing. I'm sure that most of the young guys here and there are using it. Well, ChatGPT is elaborating huge matrices. It has at its disposal something like the equivalent of 30 to 50 million books, an entire library the size of the Library of Congress. And it does this operation for every word in, say, the Italian dictionary or the English dictionary, whatever. For every word, it goes through all the words in the dictionary and checks in this reference library how many times any other words appears close to the first one, or 2 steps, or 3 steps, or n steps. And then it goes with 2 words, 3 words, and so on. It's a huge amount of data, by which you get an equally large bunch of probabilities. So when you ask a question to GPT, what it does is it starts with the keywords of your question, and for every one of them starts constructing sentences on a simply probabilistic way. With the highest probability, word B comes after word A, and it puts B, close to A, and so on. And then there are
They call it stochastic parrots because they just repeat and look
Exactly.
for correlation between kind of numbers
a
and
long
words.
path. Forgive me for being a little boring, but creativity is the opposite, is being able to find the improbable. Originality is the capacity of breaking paradigms, inventing new ones. So it's exactly the opposite of what the machine is doing. The machine is very good in its work. I had the opportunity of giving a look to GPT-5, which is not available yet because I was asked a consultant, which I didn't give, incidentally, because I don't
This
like
is a scoop. This is the first time I hear about ChatGPT-5. That was great,
Oh,
Professor.
it's amazing. It's amazing. I had a long conversation with Smith, who is the president of Microsoft. I know him since a few years. He's one of those Americans who don't speak a single word of Italian, of course. And this sustained the conversation in perfect Italian with his voice and the lip movement
As if he
corrected
was
in
speaking
such
in
a way that
Italian.
if I was not able to hear the word, I would read it, lip read it.
So lastly, in terms of education and how should they approach the education and training for this?
Now, this is the premise. The education, you want people like them, people who are free, critical, brave, able to throw their heart beyond the obstacle, able to invent a new society, a society able to walk hand in hand with this fantastic tool which is artificial intelligence. So I would not, I mean, whenever I'm asked this question, people expect me to say, oh, we should study more computer science, more probability theory. There will be a lot of people studying it the way they are now. But you don't have to know the thermodynamics of diesel cycling to be able to drive a car. You simply drive the car and do fantastic things with your car.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. But let me also join another two voices in this discussion with Professor Rasetti. And let me introduce Lisbeth Moll, North and South Europe Chair of Deloitte, and Tom Davenport, who's remotely connected, and he's a worldwide author and also professor at Babson College and at the Sloan School of Management of MIT on IT and management. Welcome. All right, Lisbeth Moll, welcome here at Bocconi University at Next. And Tom Davenport. Hello, Tom. Welcome to Next. First of all, I would like to show you the results, the outcome of a survey. We asked you guys a couple of questions on AI ahead of the beginning of the conference, and this is what you think about artificial intelligence. Let me start with the left column. What are the main cons of AI? So, the first one to you is the impact of deepfake and disinformation of democracy. The second one is destructive potential of AI-powered weapons. The third is loss of jobs, discrimination of unskilled worker, and fourth, loss of human creativity. We just discussed creativity with Professor. And what are the main pros of AI? First, better service and products. Second, a push for human creativity and better jobs. A tool for counter disinformation, which is more slippery, and advance in military technology. This is the fourth. So let me have a quick look at that. What do you make of these results, Lisbeth?
Let me start by saying I can't see you all, but it's really great to be here. So it's absolutely, you look good. It's true. It's true. Now I know. I think I recognize this because as you see, the pros and cons are the flip side of each other. And what we see is we try to make a balance of that. So that's, I think it's not a perfect balance because you would, of course, that the pros are more than the cons. But I think in reality, this is what we see now.
Absolutely. And how about you, Tom Davenport? What do you make of this kind of, results from the audience here in Milan?
It's interesting that misinformation is the biggest con. My own feeling is that as we sometimes say in the United States, the cow is already out of the barn on misinformation. We've had a lot of misinformation resulting from social media, and I'm not sure that AI will make it much worse, frankly. On the pros side, that it wasn't an option to choose, but my own feeling is the greatest positive thing about AI will be the advances in healthcare that will result from it. Just this morning, I was reading about how Viagra has been shown by AI to be correlated with a lack of Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So this is the type of findings that we can expect to see more of.
Yes, Professor Rasetti?
Well, you must think that, you must keep in mind that artificial intelligence is artificial. And it learns, always. Even if you ask questions aimed to making it contradict itself, it gives you the wrong answer once, and then it learns where the truth is and goes on. Just these past few months, I restudied the work of Tarski, who is a Polish logician, maybe Hungarian, sorry, I'm not sure, who wrote a lot about truth. And I'm sure that eventually AI will be able to do something about that question. The answer is in the mathematics. It reminds me, when Turing, he went to the United States only once and stayed there at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton for 1 year. Then he went back to Cambridge. And his colleagues were asking him, why did you leave the United States? You were in the place where von Neumann is, Gödel is. Why did you do that? And he said, well, because I noticed that the Americans are choosing the road of electronics, meaning is that they will deal with problems in a brute force way. And in this way, they will lose the power and beauty of the mathematics.
Oh, thank you for that, Professor Rasetti. Now, Lisbeth Moll, I know that AI and the ethics implication of AI are also one of your passion and also for your business. It will be really relevant looking at the future. What's your approach currently?
I think when you look at AI, it will change everything in our profession. So at Lloyd, we have, of course, the auditors and consultants. And what we do is we not only deploy it for ourselves, but we also, of course, help our clients and society to make it really trustworthy. So I think that's, for now, my main optic is how do we really make it a benefit for society and for us all?
Absolutely. Just last week, the European Parliament has approved the AI Act, which is the first regulation globally on development of AI, which is inspired by protection of human rights and the European values. How do you see this? Because some critics say, well, Europe is regulating an industry they don't have, that Europe do not have. And so it will take more than just approving a law, it will take investment and innovation. What do you make of this?
I think regulation is a very important point. So if we look back, there are already a lot of regulation in Canada and the US and now in the EU. I think it's important that we globalize that, because what you see now is that the regulation which exists is often in a territory. And the organizations who use AI, they really use it cross-border. So that means that you face a kind of a jungle of compliance regulation. So I think the EU, by globalizing it, trying to globalize it, is a very important step forwards. But of course, we need the other parts of the world, and I think especially the US, to make it really work. That organizations can really take that global legislation on the highest threshold.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tom Davenport, just a question for you, because the AI Act here is also banning some system because it considers too dangerous. And there's a large debate on general artificial intelligence, which they say will be a self-sufficient artificial intelligence, systems and algorithms that will make decisions on their own. Is this a perspective in your view, or this is not a risk, it's just science fiction?
I don't think it's science fiction that will have that capability, but as Lisbeth mentioned, I think organizations will be relatively careful about destroying their businesses and destroying their reputations if they allow AI agents to reach into lots of systems and cause havoc. So I personally am not terribly worried about robot overlords killing us all. I think some of the other challenges of AI are much more realistic, and we should probably focus on preventing those problems rather than thinking about problems that, at least for the foreseeable future, don't really exist yet.
All right, fantastic. Let me move to future leaders here and get a couple of questions from the stage. The first from Yuan Gero and then Bianca Uberti Foppa.
Hi, my name is Yoon Jae-ro. I'm a research associate from KIEP, which is Korea Institute for International Economic Policy. As you mentioned, I was thinking as many places like EU, Europe, and other countries are proposing norms and regulation on AI. As it is crucial to work together to have a consistent standard, how can we prevent having a lot of different rules all over the world?
All right, let's say also the other question, please.
Hi, yeah. I'm Bianca Uberti Foppa. I'm the innovation manager of the business and generation trading of A2A, which is an energy company. My question for you is, what advice would you give to leaders in order to enhance an AI-driven culture within the organization, this without raising any inequalities that may bring with it?
All right, Lisbeth Maud.
Wow, beautiful questions. Thank you. Also good to see all female future leaders on stage. Really proud, so absolutely. So on the first, I think we already discussed it. So regulation, there will be a lot of regulation, and it will also not cover only AI, but also parts of AI, facial recognition. So it will be industry specific. So I'm afraid we will have a jungle of regulation. The only thing I hope is that we, just as we did in privacy and GDPR, that we can globalize that and we can set us all to the highest standard and fill that compliance on that level. So I hope we can do that, which means that we, you, as future leaders, we really need to make a strong case by our governance to do that, because I think that's important for now. On the second question, that's all about how do we do this in a good way? As the professor said, it will change your lives, but how we make sure that the artificial things we're looking at are trustworthy, and we put trust in everything we do. I think three main components. We need to do that along the whole of the cycle, so in design, development, and deployment. And that sounds really easy, but most of the times we don't. So I think the life cycle of AI and the unknown and insecurities, they bring a total different governance model with it, which, to the second point, also means that we need to be fluent in AI. And I'm afraid looking to my board, we need to really have a lot of education to become at that stage. And I'm sure you, sitting there, are more fluent in AI than I am. So it needs a lot of education. And then I think for me, the main point is that at the end of the day, we need to make sure that humans are accountable for AI in all stages. And I think that's the only way, the accountability, to really make sure that we make responsible choices by deploying AI.
Let's hear also Tom Davenport. Tom, what's your answers to the future leader questions?
Well, I am not particularly optimistic about the United States developing meaningful AI legislation anytime soon. But as Lisbeth suggested, I think the fact that there are 500 million people in the European Union, roughly, and the EU has thankfully acted in this regard, will mean that multinational companies will have to comply with it, as they did for GDPR, and I hope that will lead to global compliance with the AI Act. On the second question, this is a topic that I study a lot. I think an AI culture is sort of a subset, if you will, of a data-driven culture in organizations. I agree with Lisbeth that education is necessary, but most companies who've done education have not done it terribly well. It needs to be targeted to the level and job of the individuals and the part of the organization they represent, because AI has different implications for everyone. I think as future leaders, it's important to set a good example in how you use AI. Use it with a lot of critical thinking. Don't just use it to write your essays and not edit them at all. Leaders can set a good example and make everyone else do the same behaviors. A culture of experimentation is really quite important, and then a culture of getting value. A lot of companies are experimenting now with generative AI, but have not yet shifted to how they get value. I did find in a recent survey, however, that as a global survey, that generative AI seems to have doubled the number of companies that say that they have a data-driven culture. So clearly adopting generative AI and giving people exposure to it is important for changing the culture. And in general, I think we need not to just rely on professionals, professional IT people and AI people, but we need to empower citizens, as they're often called, regular people in organizations, to use these technologies in their work. I think they won't lose their jobs to AI, but they might lose their jobs to other people who use AI in a more productive and effective manner. So we need to make it possible for everyone to use these tools.
All right, thank you, Tom Davenport. We've just a few minutes for one, maybe two quick questions from the audience. One here and another one there. Please, let's start there.
Thank you. My name is Ashutosh. I'm from India. Just a quick question on, do you guys think AI is facing some sort of a perception problem which is tilting more towards negativity and not allowing us to use it to its advantage? And just specifically to the professor, on a lighter note, you spoke so much about the truth and that we don't know what truth is. Do you think AI will reach a level where we'll finally know what truth is?
Cool. And here, second question. Oh, there, please.
I have the mic. So I have a quick question regarding the role of developers. So until now, we spoke a lot about the use of AI in terms of like citizens, make them aware and empowered. But are the developers ready in the sense of producing trusted AI systems, and how can we make sure that they are ready for that? Thank you.
Okay, let me start with Professor Rasetti. The first question was on perception of AI. Maybe we have a very negative perception, more risks than opportunity. What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, I don't think I say that in this particular case, but I always say, I don't think we shall ever be able to have a truly general artificial intelligence. An artificial intelligence simulating faithfully a human brain. The human brain remains the most wonderful machine in the known universe. It has capacities that no machine can have. I can show that to you. On the other hand, it is true, and I said it in this case, that we deal with a lot of things that are not well-defined or measurable, which is unusual for science. Science typically deals with quantities, with something that can be measured. Intelligence is a notion for the Italian fraction of the audience. It's like Pirandello, uno nessuno, 100.000. It is something that every one of us has a notion of, which is different from every other one. And we are all referring to it as if it were a single concept, and it may be nothing. But it is just shorthand writing. We call intelligence what a machine can do that human beings do with their brain and not with their hands or muscles. Can I add a little comment on what you were saying before the European Act? I'm worried. I think Europe did a fantastic job there. It is a very, very interesting set of regulation and controls. The problem is, in my view, is that it appears to me as if Europe is choosing the way of being the referee, the one who generates regulations and controls. Whereas the question of artificial intelligence is more and more quickly becoming a geopolitical question. It is more and more the United States against China. And we have phenomena like OpenAI, in which Sam Altman recently announced that he wants to recapitalize OpenAI and is aiming to $7 trillion, which is a very good fraction of the, gross national product.
And looking more strategically at the future of the world, the power of AI, and who controls the power of AI will master the world, basically. And this is why Europe, yes, started with regulation and did a great job, but at the same time, if we lose the train of innovation and investments into this, it will be a real problem.
And you have never seen a referee winning a game, right?
Yeah, may I add on the perception, because you triggered me on the perception. I think it's totally dependent on who you talk to. When I look at the young people and the young professionals at Deloitte, we have so many people who are so passionate about AI, want to use it, want to deploy it, want to do good stuff with it. And of course, you have also the governance bodies like the board, who is also setting the risk appetite of the firm, so who is more careful. The art is that you should bring them together. And I think then you have a very, very enthusiastic crowd around AI. It's a very good question.
Yeah. Tom, also on the developers question.
Well, I think the questioner is correct that the public has a generally negative perception of AI, whether you're talking about chatbots or autonomous vehicles or anything along those lines. Part of that is because vendors have made excessive claims. I don't want to mention anyone in particular, but Elon Musk is partially at fault. But I think it's also possible that some highly respected news authority, for example, could create an AI-based trust index, and you could apply it to any bit of content and say, what is the truth rating of that particular item, and that could create more trust in information if tools like that became broadly used. They're not possible at the moment, but I don't think it will be very many years before something like that is quite feasible.
All right, Tom Davenport, thank you so much for attending from remote. Thanks, Tom, and thanks to also Lisbeth Moll from Deloitte and Professor Mario Rasetti. Let's have a round of applause. Thank you, everyone.